welcome to Basket Case Builds. 2000 model Holden Jackaroo. It's not a basket case, it was when I first got it before I started making videos, but it's turning into one slowly. We have a coolant issue. It's using about a litre of coolant per week, and there's no external leaks that I can see physically. There's nothing dripping on the ground, so I'm going to pressurise the system. Now I don't have pressure tester as such, but we're going to create something with a regulator and a blind cap and pressurise through this hose here. With a blind cap, it doesn't have the 16 psi spring. What is it? Yeah, 16 psi spring that goes up and down. It's just a regular cap with no centre. So that'll open this hose straight back into the tank, and I put the air pressure on that. Once I take it off of here at 16 psi through a regulator, we'll be able to mimic it at full pressure, and hopefully the leak will show itself even though the engine is stone cold. Anyway, we'll go over to the bench and we shall see what we can scavenge up in the shed and see if we can get something to happen. Alright, I managed to find a few bits and pieces. This is what I was talking about before, about a blind cap. It has no centre. It's like a recovery bottle cap, that a remote recovery bottle cap. Now we pressure this end up via the tap through the regulator, which has the gauge on it, into the radiator. Right. I'm going to get some air and a bottle of soapy water. I've got the regulator set. I'll shoot some air into it. I'll get it to come up to 16 psi. As you can see there, it is moving slowly down. I did have that set on 16 degrees. 16 psi. So in the 5 minutes I've been poking around, I found 2 leaks. One from the thermostat, left hand front, top of engine, and right hand side. Possibly I'd say it's the coolant lines to the turbo feed, but there's 2 evidence marks on the floor. We've dropped from 16 down to, what are we there? 5, 6, 7.5, 7 to 7.5 psi. So I can understand now why I'm using coolant. Alright, I'll put it up in the air, get a better shot for you to actually see where it's leaking from. Okay, I found one offender. Just about to drip now. There it goes. It's a water feed line to the top of the turbo. Okay, I think I found the other culprit. It's this one. This little clamp here, but also if I get my hand, wipe around it, I'll come out with coolant on my gloves. I've tightened up a few hoses, probably a total of 3. I found a small one on a turbo return near its little thermostat. It has an inline thermostat in the or a check valve I think it might be in the return. That also had a couple of drips hanging off of it, so we'll feed it some juice. After I put the lid on. Not going to do anything, is it? Push him up to 16. Still slowly going down. Let's give it a minute, see what happens. Our pressure is still dropping, but that's been like that for a good couple of minutes now. It's dropped from 16 down to 12. It's not good enough, obviously, but I have found a problem with the tooling that I created. I don't know if you can see that there or not, but inferior. That's alright. I'm pretty sure that's where our PSI is disappearing to, so I'll just quickly try and reseal it, just for peace of mind. I seem to have managed to get it to seal up. I've had to move, instead of going straight through the regulator, I've had to come through on an angle due to this fitting there giving me grief with this old tapered fitting. It just wouldn't seal. It's sealing good now. Let's see what happens. Here's my supply line. It's already turned on, I think. Yeah, it's turned on. I'll adjust my reg. Excessive. Something you don't want to do. Load them up too much. You'll be blowing water pump seals and you'll be making leaks, not finding them. That's 16 psi. Oh, a needle hair under. Come back in 10 minutes and see what it's doing. Disconnected the air, it's not hooked up it whatsoever. There's the other end of the tap. It's the Nitto fitting, there's nothing in there. Tap's off, obviously. We'll time lapse 5 minutes and see how we go. Okay, what you just saw then was pretty much a time lapse of 3.5 minutes roughly. I think it was like 20 seconds worth in time lapse. We're still sitting at 16 psi. I'm pretty happy about that. I'm pretty happy it's not worse than what I thought it was. I'll just relieve the pressure off this. There we have it. I'm happy about that. Thanks for watching Basket Case Builds. Don't forget to rate, comment and subscribe. Thank you.